Hello again, fellow coffee chat friends. I know this evening you're having a coffee chat in Saskatoon on change, and I had some thoughts on that, not directly related to change, but certainly very relevant, I think. Just wanted to share them with you here. A lot of you know that there's a lot of change in my life, so I wanted to share a couple thoughts on that, for sure. Indirectly, probably. One of the thoughts that occurred to me throughout all this change is the value of argument, and that's actually the topic generally on this little presentation. Now I have to say that probably, if you've heard some of my thoughts before, this might sound like a contradiction. How could I speak in favor of argument? And at first blush, of course, you would be correct that sometimes I had. However, this had to do mostly with the setting of coffee chat, in that I attempted to avoid that type of interpersonal communication, which I referred to generally as argument, because I felt that argument is often seen as kind of a verbal fight, which is what it is in one sense, in one meaning. If you look up in most dictionaries, that's usually kind of, paraphrasing, of course, the second definition of what argument is. And this can be distracting, especially to people who are not familiar with the coffee chat setting. However, this fighting way is not what I mean when I'm using the word argument here. In terms of its origin, the word argue, and for that matter, usually the first definition in most dictionaries, generally means to support with evidence a proposition or comment. For example, if I was to say to you that the automobile has been one of the greatest inventions for the freedom of humanity, that would be a statement. And you might have a question of me. What do you mean by that? You see? At this point, if I am to answer your question, I have to support my comment. And that would be an argument, essentially, in favor of my comment. I may say things like, I may cite evidence, if I had any, that it helped with sexual freedom, for example, or mobility freedom, speed of transportation, the ability of women to be more independent, and so on. All of these may strengthen that comment within me, and it may strengthen the value of the comment in your mind as well. So as you can see, there's nothing nefarious about argument. In fact, it's what we do in our process of communication with ourselves and so on. However, like I said, in the setting of coffee chat, because it can be, when argument is used between 2 or 3 people, for example, it can kind of go back and forth for a while, which can distract from the whole group setting. And, for that setting, it doesn't work as well. However, it is a very important approach for working things through in ourselves, and also within respectful team and partnership settings, where we're trying to get to a meeting of the mind, if you will, or a meeting of the minds. It's very important. But coming back to the coffee chat setting, though, I have found that it is possible to have a meaningful discussion of sharing ideas, which is not argumentative. Argument for sure can come later, and this is especially valuable, after the formalized setting, where people can pair up and have clarifying questions and present arguments in favor of what they had to say and so on. Or when we're on our own, putting it all together. You see, to me, the process of argument comes a little bit after taking in the information. And in coffee chat, it is a sharing of ideas with each other. So what we're involved in then is taking in information. We don't actually have to get to the point argument then, nor do we have to put any judgment on what people are saying. Because the whole point of coffee chat was to have like an unfiltered sharing of ideas on improving the quality of our lives on various talking points for others to hear. In a setting like this, I would say that it is best to leave those questions which would evoke argument in supportive statements to the unmoderated conversational style after the main event, or like I said, on our own afterwards. And it is that last point, on our own afterwards, that I find myself in now, and I find it to be a great parallel to the topic this evening of change. Because I said at the onset, I find myself in a great change phase of my life. And through this great change phase, I have discovered, once again, the value of argument in my life. And the argument I'm talking about, of course, is the support of ideas which I present to myself. Now, as you would probably agree, with change, there is the resulting cascade of ideas that can come forward. And of course, there are decisions to be made. Because of all this, I would say that it is prudent not to jump at any unargued ideas or opportunities. No, I would think the better approach is to make decisions within the flux of change along the lines of the following points. Number one, take some time to get a clear picture, as much as possible, of what is wanted. To do this, I think it's very helpful to recognize also what is not wanted, because in doing so, we help to see the other side of the coin, which is wanted, right? Because on the other side of the coin, not wanted, the other side of the coin is what's wanted. So by being able to look at both, we can get a clearer picture. Number two, be open-minded to look at opportunities and ideas which come up as possible tools, transitions, vehicles, and so on, in the direction of what's wanted. The same thing with available resources, information, skills, offers of help from others, and so on. Number three, once the open mind of looking at and taking in is in place, so that the beginning of viable decisions can be made, the argument phase can truly begin. I say this because it is at this point where there is some sort of picture of what's wanted and possible tools for the actualization of what's wanted. You see, there's the beginning of it anyway, right? Argument can then be used within ourselves to further support and clarify what's wanted by the use of questions such as why. For example, if I felt that I wanted to spend most of my day with my family, I could ask the question, why, so that I could support my comment to myself. And if I don't receive sufficient support, if I don't find sufficient support to my question, I may go through a process of evaluation, which may include talking to my family and realizing that the whole day is not really what's wanted. Maybe just part of the day is what's wanted. Now, having a clearer vision on what's wanted through the use of argument can help with the next arguments in favor or not in favor of possibilities, solutions, opportunities, information, skill sets, and so on, to help with the actualization of what's wanted, if that makes sense. So, for example, if it is wanted to spend the whole evening with the family, and an opportunity that I've examined would have me away from the family for the evening, I would realize that it's not congruent with what's wanted. That argument would conclude, there wouldn't be support there in the argument in favor of something that was going to have me away when it contradicts what I want, right? However, if in the moment of serious importance of making a decision, where from all appearances there's no other choice, then there is an argument for making the best decision, which is maybe to modify for now what's wanted. See? Because it's looking at the whole picture. And what can actually happen is going forward with that tool anyway, and keeping and remaining with the open mind of what's wanted, and when that other opportunity presents itself, if and when it does, then that can be acted upon. You see what I mean? So it's a process of decision making, which argument can be a fundamental part of. In summary then, I would speak in favor of argument, because it is part of the process of decision making. And especially in times of great change, such as what I find myself right now in life, without the use of a way to support or not support thoughts, ideas, possibilities, and so on, in relation to what's wanted in life, it would be much more difficult to make meaningful decisions. And without decisions, I would end up undetermined and therefore part of the flux of change. But with meaningful decisions, there can be the taking advantage of opportunities and the learning points presented by the flux of change. So I would say I give a thumbs up to the process of argument. Hope this helps. It's great to be able to share again, and I'll remember you all. Bye-bye for now.